It's time to wander the world with Sharon. Enjoy this Big Blend radio podcast featuring award-winning travel writer and photographer Sharon K. Kurtz. It is time for another episode of Big Blend Radio's Wander the World with Sharon. And today she's actually taking us through America a little bit. She's going to take us to Lake Tahoe. Now, Tahoe, Sharon, there's a California and a Nevada side. So you're taking us to California, right?
Yes, but it's north. It's North Lake Tahoe, and that's very different
Oh,
from South Lake Tahoe. That's busy with casinos and commercial things. But Lake Tahoe is just like beauty. It's just pristine beauty.
mm. And a lot of history as well. I mean, I think one of the things I wanted to really get into was there's a lot of opulence going on there with castles and,
Oh, yes.
mansions,
I had the
lodges.
best. I learned so much on this visit. Exactly those things we'll get into.
Yeah, and the Donner Party, because that is
Yeah,
right by the Donner Pass.
yes.
And a lot of the family, even going up into the Hollister area, San Benito County, San Juan Batista has some history of the Donner Party that moved up there and lived there after that fateful time up in the snow. And as we record this, it's snowing where we are. And I'm thinking about how the Donner Party did that.
Oh,
And,
yes.
that was crazy history.
Yes. They took a shortcut, which was their downfall,
Mhm.
trying to cross the Sierra Nevada. And they were a party of like 72 in the party. And then when they hit this tragic snowfall and couldn't find any way out of it, only 48 people survived at the end
Yeah.
of that. And there's
And we all,
survivors to
yeah.
this day that still
Mhm.
gather, but that's a tragic history.
And so this was a state park that you went to. California has such an amazing state park system. I
Yes.
love their state parks and a lot of it history. So I think a lot of times they gather at the state park, and the other one is San Juan Batista State Park, which isn't so far away. That has some of where they lived and some of that history. So again, another state park. But isn't this where they gather as like a reunion?
Yes, and going there, it's right there by Donner Lake, which is
Mm,
gorgeous,
it's beautiful.
right there by Truckee in the Sierra Nevada. And so you can walk through this beautiful forest and go see the places where they set up camp. And there's a wonderful monument. It's a bronze statue of like the Donner, a few of them, and a little child looking out in the distance in a marker showing a big boulder talking about their experience called the Pioneer Monument.
Mm. And even, okay, there is a fateful side of it, but there's a resiliency in this story. But also just thinking about coming across country, they weren't in wagons to, catch a ride. They were always walking on the outside of the wagons when they had wagons. But, people like the Oregon Trail, those stories of people just go, and it always starts from Missouri. What was going on? Ohio and Missouri, that,
I
something
don't
was
know
going on.
how they had such dreams for a better life, but oh, it's just perilous getting there.
Yeah.
I can't fathom it to this day.
Wow. And so all of this is in this beautiful scenery where just the beautiful lake. I mean, the blues, the shades of blue. As a photographer, were you in awe when you were there?
Oh yeah, it is incredibly beautiful. And the towering fir trees and pine trees and this alpine lake, the largest alpine lake in North America and the second
Oh,
deepest lake after Crater Lake in
okay.
Oregon.
Have you been to Crater Lake?
No, I have
Oh,
not.
you must go.
Yes,
It's
I
it's
must
pretty
go.
magical. We went there. I mean, it's fascinating because there's so much geology to this, but there's a little island in there. I mean, it just looks like a little paradise, but it's massive. It's like humbling at the same time of like you're there in it. Yeah, you've got to go. I'll
Yeah.
take you. I'll
Okay.
take you.
All right. It's a
Okay.
date.
Okay. All right. So September, that's the
Yeah.
date.
Okay.
Okay. So but that's those blues are what always get me is the colors, right? And I
Yeah.
think this whole region to me is one of my favorite places on earth is, going up 395 and going up through the Sierra Nevadas, the east and the west, but So I'm really glad you went there and you did things that we have not done yet. So it's outside Truckee, like you say, which is, people know that name. But so we go from the Donner Party, and of course there's the Native American history, so that predates everyone.
Six
You know,
thousand years ago, this washout tribe were primitive and they lived in this area. They were migrating, they'd come in the summertime and hunt. And
wow. Now, do any of the museums there carry their history and
yes,
share it?
yes, I loved the museum at the Donner Lake State
Oh,
Park. Really has
okay.
a wonderful museum, and it talks about the history of the First Peoples.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And then you've got the other side of it where these rich people, because this is where the mining, this is
Yes,
mining country. So
exactly.
this is where, oh, okay, now we're going to be opulent. Look at my summer house that has an elephant. Like what?
Yes, yes. Where's my notes? The Thunderbird Lodge, George Whitell Jr., he built it in 1936. Just so unbelievably wealthy, but actually he did a good thing because he bought so much waterfront property that it never was developed. And that's why we have such beauty
Oh,
today. And of course, the railroads came in and they cut down the logs everywhere to build the railroads. But he purchased this unbelievable, beautiful property along the lake and built a mansion. And he was so eccentric. He had lions, he had an elephant. Uh,
mm.
and I got to this mansion now is closed to the public except for certain days on guided tours. And we got to go there
Oh,
and
wow.
walk through it and learn his history. It was amazing.
Wow. I don't know if the elephants would like it there. Well, I don't think
No,
people should be having wildlife as pets. I'm just going to say that.
yeah.
But people did what they did. I mean, Salvador Dali had anteaters and he'd take them walking in the streets. Like
Uh,
people walk their dogs, he would take anteaters walking.
So George had like a roadster, and he would take his lion with him, drive around, in the park. So, and then the other crazy thing was, of course, he was incredibly wealthy, and he had this beautiful yacht. He called this the Thunderbird Lodge, and the yacht was called the Thunderbird, and they still have it. It is
Oh,
the most
cool.
gorgeous boat you've ever seen, and it's mahogany and sparkling of metals and the bell that you can ring. So you can go through the boathouse and they still take it out. It does cost quite a bit to maintain it, but they do
Yeah.
every year, they do take it out for select people and they drive around the
Wow.
lake.
Well, I want people to know that you did this tour with GoTahoeNorth.com. So
I
that's the
did.
website to go to, Go Tahoe, the tourism board out there. And if you go to GoTahoeNorth.com, you'll be able to plan your trip. And also, Sharon wrote a story in GoNomad.com. So these links are all in the episode notes, as we always do, and Sharon's website, SharonKKurtz.com.
That's me.
But so Thunderbird Lodge, it's open by special tours only, so people should watch for that so that they have
Yes.
that opportunity
Go
to
to the
go.
website and you can find the information there.
Okay. Now, what about and the other lodges? Grand Libakan? Oh,
Yes. So we stayed
I
in
can't
this
pronounce
really
anything.
Grand Labakan, and that
Oh, there you
means
go.
fir trees in the forest in
Oh,
Norwegian. So that was built in 1932 because that's when they started having a skiing history. That's when they had ski Olympic trials in
mm,
1932. And so they built this lodge in the fir trees. It is just beautiful, and
oh,
it's a great
nice.
place to stay.
Oh, very cool. So people can stay there overnight. Where did you stay
I
when you were
stayed
there?
in the Grand Blocken Lodge.
Well,
They have like,
excuse me.
yes, they have like a lodge building, but then they have these wonderful cabins. You walk through the grounds and down into the trees, and we stayed like in a cabin to ourselves, like maybe a 4 unit
Oh, I
cabin.
like that.
It was so beautiful. It was the perfect place to stay.
Oh man, and you got to see all the blue jays. And that's my thing is about the birds
Yeah,
because these forests always have the woodpeckers and the blue jays, and I call them the monkey birds of the forest because they're always like ah, gak, 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 gak.
yeah,
You
yeah.
hear them just, yell at each other. like, they
You
heckle.
know that the smell of a forest, it was like in the summertime and the light would filter through the pine trees and then you'd
Oh,
have the smell of the earth and it was just so beautiful.
oh man, this is awesome. It's been a little bit since we've been up there, but we're going west again this year, so I got itchy
Good.
feet to go back through there. I literally dream of this area. Like I feel like my family comes from there, which I know there's like ancestral roots in this region. So
Mhm.
I don't know, something happens to me whenever I go through here. And
Mhm.
so I get like I was like all excited about today because I'm like, I want to go back. I want to go back. And it's a vacation spot for so many, to go this region, but there's just a pull. It's like a magnetic pull to
Yeah.
go there, and I think
And
a
it's
lot of
so,
people have that.
yeah, it's so family friendly. You know, you can camp there, you can stay at these lodges, and at the right outside of the Grande Blocken where we stayed, they have like this up in the trees a rope course where you can climb and you go from tree to tree, and all families were there, kids were having a blast.
Oh man. Yeah, that's
E-bikes,
cool.
I rode e-bikes through the
Oh,
beautiful park.
so that's again like sustainability. We've been talking a lot about that over
Right,
these last few
right.
shows. And so I think a lot of places like that want to keep their nature pristine. So
Yes.
they're doing that as much as they can, and a good way to get around.
Yeah.
And you're outside in fresh air. So that's a good thing. What about this Vikings Holm Castle? So this is another Scandinavian.
Yes. So this is
Yeah.
in the era when people got incredibly rich for, fortunes made by railroads and steel and all those things that built America. So in 1929, it was constructed, and this woman had an incredible fortune, and she was just taken with Scandinavian culture and architecture. So she hired an architect. That was her family history as well, and built this summer residence called Viking's Home. It looks just like a Scandinavian castle, and you can go through it. It's restored and it's right on the lake, and
Oh,
you get to learn about her architect who they went to Scandinavia together to study architecture, came back and built this castle, and it's got a little island it's right on Emerald Bay. So that's um, there's an island in the middle of Emerald Bay, and she actually built a stone tea house on the island where she used to
oh,
take her guests. And so you can still go out kayaking to that island.
I love that. That's like what I was talking about with Crater Lake, that little island out there. I want to
Yeah,
go to the islands.
yeah,
That's cool. Go have tea, you
yes.
know? Yes, la di da. So this is a la di da going on here. The other thing that you did a nice write up for this, and everyone, you'll be able to see photos and everything too. You say North Lake Tahoe's Olympic legacy is something to really understand as well, because, yeah, you've got Squaw Valley out there. I always forget. Yeah,
Yes,
this is a destination in winter.
right. It is beautiful. That's how the history, the railroads, and
Mm,
then they discovered, they had these Olympic trials, and that kind of led the way for such a skiing history.
mm. So skiing, and they do that now. So that's going on.
Yes, yes.
Skiing, and then summer is just, oh, and you know what? Spring is gorgeous out there too. I'm just saying. And
Mhm.
fall, yeah, you've got to go every season,
Yeah. But the
and go out
water
there.
sports, lots of kayaking,
Mm,
wind sailing. And then there's an historic, um, right behind me in my
mm.
picture, there's a paddle boat that's historic.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
you can take rides on this paddle boat. And we took an evening sail on the most beautiful sailboat, where we
oh.
saw, the water is a particularly beautiful color at sunset.
Now, what was the food like out there? Did you remember?
Hey, well, at the lodge, it reminded me of staying in a wintertime ski lodge. It was just kind of a little buffet set up with lots of choices. We did go into South Lake Tahoe once for a nice dinner in one of the bigger hotels. but it was pizza. When we went on an e-bike road
Oh,
in the Kings area, we had wonderful pizza. So, I went for nature. I didn't necessarily go for the food.
okay. Yeah, because I think when you're out there, it's really kind of hearty food to keep you sustained
Yeah.
because you're cycling, you're kayaking, you're swimming, you're doing all kinds of things. But yeah, it's so beautiful up there. So everyone, again, we're going to have links in the episode notes for you to check out and plan your vacation there. So again, gosh, I mean, when you think about the trials, the ski jumping trials were in 1932, right?
Yeah.
And then the Olympics came in 1960, which is
Yeah.
amazing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so now it's Squaw Valley is now called Palisades Tahoe. And
Right.
for a lot of us Californians, we always remember it as Squaw Valley. And then, in fact, there's two Squaw Valleys. There's one outside Kings Canyon National Park. So I don't know if that changed. There's two Squaw Valley. Well, not anymore. Now there's Palisades. So that was a recent change.
Right.
Give it, yeah, the name change is a positive one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
positive.
Yeah. That's a good
Palisades
change.
is the name now.
That's fantastic for everyone to know about that. But everyone, again, go tahoenorth.com is the website, and the link to Sharon's article is in the episode notes, and or just go to gonomad.com and type in Sharon and Lake Tahoe on there too. So thank you as always, Sharon. You always keep us on these great adventures. Yeah.
Well, I would encourage everyone to go to North Lake Tahoe. It's very different from the hustle and bustle of South Lake Tahoe. It's got a completely different feel, and
And
it's
it's
worth a
easy to
visit.
get to from like cities
Yeah,
like Sacramento and
right.
even, LA, San Diego. I mean, well, San Diego's a little further, but to me, it's a beautiful drive. And you've got, LA, it's accessible from there, San Francisco. So
On
it's
this
a beautiful
trip, we
drive.
were in Oakland, California, and we rented a car and drove to Lake Tahoe. It was only like 3 hours tops.
Oh,
It was
see,
a nice
that's right.
drive.
I remember your trip to Oakland. That was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. This was the
Yeah.
same time period.
Okay, cool. That gives people an idea of timing. 3 hours is nothing, you
Yeah.
know. So a good place for people to
And
get
then
out and
we,
enjoy.
at
Mm.
the end of our trip to Lake Tahoe, we drove to Reno, and that's how we flew back home to Texas.
Oh, okay. So yeah, because Reno's not far
No.
from there. No, at all. So yeah, Reno, and then you got like San Francisco if you need to, and Oakland for airports. So good. So and getting to from Dallas, did you go to fly to Dallas or Austin home?
This trip we flew to Austin. I believe it was Reno to Dallas and then transferred to Austin.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. Well, it's Dallas seems to have direct flights to everywhere. It's a big airport.
Yes, moving to Austin, which is a good thing because we moved for family, but oh, I miss DFW because you can fly direct from DFW anywhere so easy and you don't have a little hop, an extra hop of a flight to
Yeah.
get somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be talking about Austin soon too. We're going to learn
Yes,
more about Austin, Texas. So stay
I'm
tuned
looking forward to
for
that.
that, everybody. That's coming up soon on Wonder the World with Sharon. And then what's coming up after that? Do you want to tell everybody what's happening?
Oh, Japan. I'm going to
Mm,
Japan very soon. I've never
mm.
been, and I'm going to during cherry blossom season. So it's like a
Oh,
bucket list thing that I'll get to
oh,
experience.
oh, we can't wait. We're going to be follow Sharon on Instagram and Facebook, social media. She's very active there and always has amazing photographs and video clips to keep us all like in awe. And then, we need to plan to go. That's the
Yes,
point. Thanks so much, Sharon, and happy travels to everyone.
thank you. It's great to see you again.
You too. Thanks for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Wonder the World with Sharon podcast. You can keep up with Sharon's adventures at SharonKKurtz.com. Follow Big Blend Radio at BigBlendRadio.com. Happy travels.